it's going to be very difficult for this president to lead if, in fact, that moral authority remains compromised.
I'm so excited for the announcement tonight. Just tune in, pay attention, listen closely, and let's talk about 4 more years.
In unsurprising political news, former presidential candidate Tim Scott has fallen into line behind Donald Trump right before his fellow South Carolinian Nikki Haley tries to not lose too badly to him in New Hampshire, and I don't think she wants to talk about it.
The New York Times says that Tim Scott's endorsing Donald Trump tonight. What would that mean to your campaign?
We'll wait and see if it happens.
Have you talked to him lately?
It seemed like a good opportunity to voice your disappointment in Tim Scott endorsing Trump, especially since having Scott in his corner probably won't drastically enhance his already huge lead. She could have showed that she's confident and unfazed, or she could have attacked Tim Scott the way New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu did.
So I guess one of the big pieces of news today is this endorsement by Tim Scott. It's our understanding that he is on his way to Florida, will come up to New Hampshire and rally with President Trump tonight. How much of a blow is that to the campaign that you support for Governor Haley?
Yeah. Well, first, look, Tim Scott wouldn't have a job without Nikki Haley. Nobody cares what Tim Scott thinks. If they did, he actually wouldn't have been driven out of this race 3 months ago. The reason senators don't like Nikki Haley, because she calls him out for being overpaid and underworked and being basically a privileged nursing home. I mean, that's what Congress and the U.S. Senate have become. So, yeah, they get frustrated because someone's actually going to become president that holds them accountable, that holds them to fiscal discipline, that actually wants to drain the swamp and bring fiscal responsibility, decentralize Washington government. That's what Nikki's trying to do. So you shouldn't be surprised that, senators feel threatened by it because they've basically made a career out of public service.
Even though every endorsement, speech, or TV interview that shuffles support amongst the Republican field doesn't really seem like it's going to have much of an effect on the results, some of Trump's biggest accomplices in radical media are acting like they're afraid of Nikki Haley.
One of the fights we're going to have, a big fight, will take place in the spring, will be they're going to try to force Nikki on the ticket. They say Trump needs a woman, Nikki on the ticket, she balances things, and she can bring together that 15% of never-Trumpers in the Republican Party. We're going to have that fight. If Nikki Haley is in this administration in any capacity, it will fail. Well, she's a viper. She's a viper, and once she gets in there, she'll try to run it as prime minister.
If Haley ends up as Trump's vice president, these two think that a plot to take him out would be in the works. He said if Nikki Haley's in this administration in any capacity, it'll fail. Who's going to tell Steve Bannon that she was already in his administration? And doesn't that mean it was a failure?
In any capacity, it will fail.
It never matters that their fear-mongering to the base doesn't make any sense, just as long as they're afraid of whoever the target is. And for some reason, it's his former UN ambassador that's the target, who's finally decided to start talking tough, as if she hasn't said over and over that she'll support him after she loses.
Americans aren't stupid to just believe what he says. The reality is, who lost the House for us? Who lost the Senate? Who lost the White House? Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Nikki Haley will win every single one of those back for us.
4